If you want to embark on a personal development journey, here is a 4-step process that is extremely helpful and that is straight from psychotherapy. This is what I, as a psychotherapist, use in my practice to help people with their personal development and their growth and the journey in their lives. This is the process I use every single time. I don't skip any of these steps. They're absolutely essential, and I'm going to go into detail with all 4 steps. So quick, the outline is, first step is goal setting. It's all about knowing what you want from your life. You can't move anywhere if you don't know what you want. The second step is formulation. That is understanding where the person is in their lives at the moment. What is going on? What's keeping them stuck? What are the processes that are helping? What are the processes that are hindering? Then the third is treatment, which is the step that psychotherapists use to actually start to shift some of those processes that are holding them back, some of those processes that are keeping people stuck. And then the fourth is progress monitoring, which is basically the process of assessing whether your treatment is working or not. It's very important because you can't assume that what you're trying with one client is working for another. So that's how the psychotherapy process works. But I think that most people can use this process as like a broad framework or an outline for their own lives. So let's start to get into the process, and then I'm going to walk you through how you can use it in your own life. So starting with the first step, goal setting. If you're currently trying to change your life in some way, if you're trying to get unstuck, if you're trying to commit to personal development and you want some actual positive outcomes in your life, you want to have that positive impact that you know you can have. You want to unlock your potential. Then the first step is always just clarifying what you want. You cannot get to your destination if you don't know where it is. So something I use to outline this 4-step process is a GPS analogy. So imagine that you're embarking on any journey, right? A physical journey where you're trying to get to a location. The first thing that your GPS does is that it analyzes where you're going. So you have to actually input your desired destination. Your GPS can't give you directions straight away if it doesn't know where you're going, right? So your GPS has to know where you're going. You have to input your desired location. That's the first step on taking any journey, embarking on any journey. And it's the same with psychotherapy or personal development and self-help. You have to know what you want. You have to be able to input that desired destination. So my first recommendation for you is to clarify what you want from your life. It's to get very clear, so precisely clear that it becomes easier to hit that target. You want to get so clear on what you want that your behaviors start to organically flow out of that it becomes really difficult to know what not to do when you're very clear on what you want. So that first step is goal setting. Now, you're going to want to start really broad. And sometimes we're not in touch with this. Maybe you are in touch with it and you can skip ahead to the second step. But if you're not, here are some suggestions. My first suggestion is to start broad and to start very holistically, in a very complete way. So you're going to want to understand your life in its totality. A useful thing to do there, and something psychotherapists use, is understanding someone in terms of life domains. So the different sections of life. There are many ways to chop someone's life up, but a useful framework for you involves 4 domains. The first is health, because nothing in your life gets off without health in check. The second is wealth, because again, you need livelihood. Your livelihood is important. Your finances are important. It's the bedrock of everything else that you're doing. I think work and things like that, your career aspirations, they can all fall into that. The third that you're going to want to look into is relationships, because we're social creatures. It's almost half of our cortex that's devoted just to social functions. So our brain literally deteriorates if we don't have social contact for a long period of time. Social contact is like a nutrient for the brain. So your personal development journey will have to require you getting good at relationships and being satisfied in terms of your relationships. That's why it's a third life domain. And then the fourth life domain is recreation. That's what you're doing for fun, what you want to spend your free time on. Nobody just spends time at work. Nobody just spends time with other people. Nobody just spends time at the gym. We also have those little pockets of space, weekends, holidays, vacations, restoring periods. We all need that. You can't just be grinding away at all the duties and obligations and not have some time to restore. even professional athletes, to perform at the highest levels, need some kind of rest and recovery. And that's actually, it's systematized into their routines because it's important. It's not an add-on, it's an essential element. And so it's an essential element for you as well to think about, how are you having fun? How are you enjoying your life? What's increasing your well-being? All of these elements are important. What's the point of getting everything in your life right if you don't enjoy it and if you don't make it more enjoyable for other people? So in terms of goal setting, start by understanding your life holistically. Use a framework like this. If you're not happy with the domains I have, it's fine. You can decide what domains are important to you. You can maybe even write this down on a paper. You divide it into a 2x2 grid, and then you can write there: health, wealth, relationships, recreation. Another way to think about it is work, play, love, and health. Now, once you have that down, once you have a paper out and you've divided it into 4 blocks, I'd like you to start to just dump out whatever comes to mind for each domain. What do you think it would look like to be healthy? What would it, for you, right? What would it look like to be wealthy? And what kind of career do you want? What are your aspirations there? And go wild here. Please don't hold yourself back. A lot of people, they struggle to set goals because they know that there'll be expectations for them to take action. And also because they know that they've tried to get there before and they haven't, and they feel disappointed. And so the whole goal setting process becomes a bit icky, and it's like, oh, I don't want to do that again. I don't want to fail. I don't want to disappoint myself. If you're feeling any of that, you have to push through that anxiety, because this is the pathway to get better. It's being clear on what you want, and it's holding yourself to account. Those are good things. Being clear and having accountability, those are good things. The anxiety is coming from past experiences, but this experience of personal development does not have to be what happened in the past. It can be different. It can be a new experience. And allowing for a new experience will be the only way that you're going to achieve your goals in life. The alternative is just being stuck to the past and stuck to what you have right now, which we both know you're not quite satisfied with, right? So once you have those 4 life domains out, and once you've filled out each domain, you might have a clearer picture of what you want, but you also might still be missing some details. Perhaps it's quite unclear. Perhaps you feel conflicted. It's not uncommon for people to have goal conflicts or to feel 50-50 on some points. In therapy, that's something we help clients deal with. It's literally called goal conflicts. And we have ways to spot those and to help the client resolve that. So either go this way or that way, or find a compromise between the two. But either way, we need to do something to help you move forward and commit to your goals. Now, if you're still unclear, there are 2 suggestions I have for you. Number 1 is you can use a technique called values clarification. That is basically a way that psychologists help people identify what's important to them by tapping into their memories. So if you, for example, you're sitting here, I'd like you to think about a positive memory that you have, a time where you felt alive, vital, and connected in some way. Just take a moment to allow those memories to come to mind. Maybe there's a few memories that are coming to mind. If there are, pick one. And once you have a really good memory, I want you to start to visualize that memory. Remember who was there. Remember what you were doing. Remember when it was. Remember what it felt like. And then once that's becoming more clear, I want you to ask yourself this question. What is it in that memory that was important to me? What is it in that memory that I can extract as a clue as to what I want in the future? Even if you can't exactly get that back, maybe the people in there aren't around anymore, perhaps the place isn't around anymore, perhaps you can't do that specific activity anymore, don't use any of that as an excuse. There'll be something in there that you can extract and that you can take forward. That is the exercise of values clarification and using positive memories to establish clarity on what you want in the future. It's often more reliable than just speculating, oh, what would I like? Because that's when other people's expectations and thoughts of who you should be, all of that stuff starts to contaminate what you really want and what truly fulfills you. Whereas the memory, a positive memory, does not lie. That does not lie. Okay, so think about how to use values clarification to establish clarity if you need it. The other way to establish clarity is to ask yourself the miracle question. The question goes something like this. If everything in my life were perfect tomorrow, all my problems were solved, and I woke up tomorrow morning and everything was just fine, what would my life look like? How would I start to notice as I wake up and go throughout my day and start to notice that a miracle had happened, things are different? What would I start to notice is different? What would I notice my life is like? How would I be spending my time? Who would be there? How would I feel? You see, the miracle question allows you to actually think about your day, what your actual day looks like. And it also highlights the differences. It's like that game we used to play when we were kids, Spot the Difference, where they put like two pictures. I don't know if I'm too old to explain this or too young, but they'd have two pictures, and then on the one side you'd have the original picture, and the other side they'd remove some items, and they'd ask you to sort of spot the differences. It was in magazines and stuff like that. I don't know if you encountered that, but if you did, the point here is that the miracle question allows you to spot the differences between the current life you have and the life you'd have if a miracle had happened. So that's how you use the miracle question to also clarify things. The values clarification exercises uses your memories to help bring clarity. The miracle question uses your imagination to help bring clarity. Neither require just verbal speculation about what you want. So those are just two examples of goal-setting tools that we help to bring clarity to what we want for our clients. But once you have these domains filled out, so going back to these life domains, this complete, let's call it your vision chart. Once you have this vision outlined, you want to distill that vision into behaviors that you can start to engage in to make that vision a reality. Because ultimately, personal development is about doing what you can do. It's about activating your internal capacities. It's about using all the resources that you have, unlocking your potential in service of this vision, in service of this positive impact that you want to make. That is all that goal setting is about. You want to eventually distill all your goals into behaviors that you can engage in. Otherwise, what's the point? Otherwise, we're just wishing, we're just praying, we're just hoping. We don't want to hope. The real power, where you can really actualize your power, is distilling your vision chart into specific behaviors that you can engage in on a daily basis. What are the habits you need based on your vision? What are the routines you need? Do you need to start gymming? Do you need to eat less fast food? Do you need to spend more time working on your vision for impacting others' lives? Do you need to spend less time at work and more time in having a balanced life and spending time with family? What is it? What are the behaviors that are going to make this vision work? That is how you empower yourself, because that's in your control. Your behavior is in your control, even if you struggle to control it up to this point. We're going to get how to control it in a minute. I know it's not that easy to just start to behave in this way, and that's why we're only at the first step. The rest of the steps are going to help you regain control of your behavior and meet those goals that you need to meet. So think about it. What are these specific behaviors that I need to engage in? And then you can write them down. Get a piece of paper, write out those behaviors. Make sure all the behaviors needed for all the life domains are there. And I want those behaviors to be a comprehensive list. So you need to know, if I engage in all of these behaviors that are on the page, that vision will become a reality. It just will. Okay. Once you have those behaviors down, this is where it gets interesting, and this is where my expertise as a psychologist really comes into play. It's the second step, which is formulation. Now that we have those behaviors on the table, you can start with one behavior. So take that behavior, put it on the center of a page, and then I'd like you to start to understand what is around this behavior that's stopping me from engaging in it. If I know this behavior can get me exactly what I want, why am I not doing it? Why have I not done it yet? I think that's a really important question that we don't ask ourselves enough. What is stopping the behavior? We often just will ourselves to engage in the behavior. We're like, okay, if I'm not engaging in this behavior, I just need to try again. I just need to push it. I just need to do it. But that doesn't always work. That Nike mentality of just do it doesn't always work, because we so often don't do the things we know we should be doing. So this is why formulation is really important, because we're getting more specific, more nuanced, we're understanding a bit deeper what is around this behavior that's like a web that's keeping it trapped. So we're going to start to draw out that web. I'd like you to start to connect things to the behavior. So if you have the behavior in the center of the paper, we're going to call this your formulation chart. But if you have the behavior in the center of the paper, you're going to now formulate what exactly is holding you back. And I want you to think very broadly, where the first division is internal influences versus external influences, because there could be things coming from within you that's stopping you, and there could be things out there in the world, in the environment, that's stopping you. So examples of internal influences are thoughts, emotions, your relationship to yourself, your ability to pay attention, a lack of motivation, perhaps it's other behaviors that are holding you back. And then once we move to the external side, it's things like, how's your sleep, diet, and exercise? What's your social environment like? Who's around you and how are they influencing you? And then you've also got things like contextual features, which are things that are going on in your life right now that could be holding you back, or perhaps the actual physical location that you're living in, what your home actually looks like and how it's laid out. Those are all external influences. So to understand what's holding your behavior back, you need to understand the internal and the external influences. So start to dump some of that on the page. If things come to mind immediately, like this thing could be holding me back, start to write it down. I'll give you an example. If I want to start to gym, right? I'm going to write that in the middle of the page, gymming each morning. I'm going to circle it almost like I'm drawing a mind map. And then I'm going to start to jot things down. So for me personally, some things that could be stopping me is perhaps being in a home where my gym clothes are at the back of the cupboard instead of the front, or I don't leave my tackies out to run with. So there could be other things externally that are also stopping me. Perhaps I haven't looked into the memberships and I need to do that. Or perhaps I actually don't have money and I need to maybe think about how to get some money for that, how to save some money and move more money toward a gym membership. Those are all external influences. Perhaps I'm not sleeping enough, so I wake up tired and then I don't want to gym in the morning. So I need to think about how to get to bed earlier. Again, external influences. But I could also jot down some internal things there. Perhaps I have the thought of, I'm not the kind of person who gyms, so my identity is holding me back. It's this really subtle internal block. I just don't feel like I'm that kind of person. I don't identify as someone who gyms. So then I need to start using language that allows me to step into that identity. Like, from tomorrow, I'm going to become a gymmer. So I'm making it my identity. It could be a lack of confidence as well, a lack of confidence in the ability to use certain machines, or an anxiety around what others are going to think of me if I feel I'm a bit overweight and it's my first time, I don't know how to use gym equipment. What are others going to think of me? There could be a bit of an emotional block there, like a bit of anxiety, a bit of stress. If that's the case, you can also jot that down on the paper. A bit of anxiety, low self-confidence, lack of identity around gymming. Perhaps there are other thoughts. Perhaps you're not paying enough attention to your health in general in your life. So there's an attentional block. A lot of your attention is going to other things instead of health. So you could think about, how can I start to surround myself with health talk? What podcasts could I listen to start to get that into my brain? That's an attentional block. So it's a matter of shifting your attention. So once you're done getting all of these things down, you can start to draw some links to the behavior. So you want to draw a little arrow from the lack of self-confidence to the behavior, just showing that all of these things are influencing the behavior of going to gym. But there might be links between things as well. Perhaps I don't leave my clothes out because I'm so tired from a lack of sleep. So I don't leave my gym clothes out and I'm less likely to see it as a trigger to go to gym. So you can draw a link between lack of sleep and not leaving your gym clothes out. So other elements on this paper could be linked to each other. So you're going to start to link them appropriately. Wherever you see relationships, what are the things in this picture that's reinforcing each other? And then once you've done that, you now have a formulation of what's keeping your behavior stuck. Congratulations. You've completed the second step that psychotherapists go to. Formulation is basically, if we go back to our GPS analogy, it's understanding your current location. Because the first step, which was goal setting, was to understand your desired destination, where you want to go. But the second step is about understanding where you currently are. That's why GPS always uses a satellite to identify your location, because we need 2 points. In order to map a route between 2 points, we need 2 points. We need to know where you are and where you're going. So that's the first and second step: goal setting and formulation. That allows us to move into the third step, which is mapping the route out between those 2 points, between where I am and where I want to be. It's as simple as that. And that's where treatment comes in. Taking that route, taking that journey, that is treatment. It's making that movement. So this is where you have to get really creative, right? Based on the processes that I formulated, what process can I start to address? How many of them can I start to address? And then you create a treatment plan for yourself based on the formulation. The only purpose of the formulation is to inform treatment. There's no other reason to actually understand yourself if it doesn't lead to change, if it doesn't lead to anything fruitful. So now you use the formulation to create a treatment chart. So take out another piece of paper or open a document on your laptop, entitle that treatment chart. Now you can start to jot down points that come to mind based on the formulation you had on the page. And you'll notice that if you formulated the processes really well that are keeping the behavior stuck, then the treatment will just flow from that. So for example, I said I keep my clothes at the back of the cupboard, my gym clothes. So that means I need to take them out and leave them somewhere where I can see them. I said that I perhaps don't pay attention to health-related behaviors, or I have conversations with people who don't care about health. So the treatment is to start hang out with people who do care about health, start to speak to them, start to spend more time with them. Another element that I addressed was anxiety around the gym. So maybe I need something to manage my stress, that feeling of anxiety beforehand. Or I needed a technique that allows me to push through the anxiety and get to the gym before I make any judgments. So you'll see that if you formulated yourself really well, your treatment plan will start to flow. So keep looking at the formulation chart and then keep writing down some ideas about what you could change, what difference you could bring to your life. Because ultimately, if you're going to change your life, you need to bring something new. You need to try new things. That's what you're going to put down on the treatment chart. What are the new things that I can try here? How can I improve my life? And then once you start to do these new things, once you're actually moving along the map, you need to get to the fourth step of our process, which is progress monitoring. It's not enough to just embark on a journey. The GPS actually has to track that your movement is getting you closer to the destination. Because the GPS notices that if you're supposed to take a right turn and you take a left, the GPS notices that because it's tracking your movement. And so it says, oh, you took a left turn. I need to recalculate the route. Okay, you need to actually make a U-turn here, or you need to turn right. So it's adjusting your course based on any mistakes that you've made. This is where the fourth step of progress monitoring comes in therapy. We're constantly assessing, are the new things that I'm trying working or not? You could try all of these new things. You could try leaving your clothes out, but then you notice leaving my clothes out doesn't actually make a difference. So perhaps I need to go to sleep in my gym clothes. Perhaps I need to sleep in those, and then that will be more motivating. So that's your recalculating. You're recalculating the route. Because your first solution is not necessarily going to be the right solution. Your first attempt to get the behavior unstuck is not necessarily going to be your best attempt. This is a circular process where you're going to try something new and check if it's working. And then see, oh, okay, it's kind of working, but not really, and so I'm going to change it. And then you change it. You try something new. Again, you adjust it in some way or you try a totally different solution. But either way, you're not going to get to your destination reliably and effectively if you're not tracking your movement. In the same way where if you take any journey, if that satellite is not tracking whether you take a wrong turn, it's pretty much useless because it's going to lead you astray. It's not going to take that into account and you're going to end up somewhere else. I don't know what bush you're going to end up in, but the point is that progress monitoring is really important here. So once you've created your treatment chart, you can create a progress monitoring chart. So take out another piece of paper, open up a document on your laptop, entitle that progress monitoring chart, and make sure that once you start to try these new things, that you're putting that technique in the progress monitoring chart, and then next to it, you're evaluating it. So you're writing a few notes about how it went. Did it work? Was it effective? What could I do differently? If it didn't work, why didn't it work? If it worked, why did it work? So that's your evaluation chart. And then once you've assessed your progress, let's say you try these new techniques for a week, and then you assess the progress and you see the impact it had on your behavior. After assessing it for about a week, that is when you look at the progress monitoring chart and then you create a new treatment chart based on the progress monitoring chart, based on the feedback, based on how it's going. That is how you amplify the treatment. And that is how you get your behavior right. So that, in conclusion, is the 4-step process. You want to set goals. You want to formulate while you're stuck. You want to create treatment techniques that help you based on your formulation. And then you want to monitor your progress to make sure that you're actually changing your behavior and changing the outcomes in your life. You're actually getting closer to that vision that you want, unlocking your potential, and making a positive impact in the world. If you want to go a bit deeper and you want 5 tools from therapy that are absolutely non-negotiable for personal development, I have a free masterclass that's in the description of this video. I'll see you there.